Right, we're back for another episode of Creative Retrospective. And my guest for this one is Daniel Akinleye, also known as Dan, or Maths with Dan. He is the founder or co-founder, I think you're just the sole founder of the Maths with Dan platform, where he tutors students on secondary and further educational level mathematics. He's also a graduate from the University of Leicester, got a first class degree from the University of Leicester with a maths undergraduate. We'll get to that because there's an interesting story behind that too. Where I want to start with you, Daniel, I know the title that everyone sees on top is going to be Creative Retrospective, and people are going to say, wait, what? We're talking about maths. Like, what are you talking about? There's nothing creative in maths. It's just, it's like, it's the X and Y's, it's the ones and zeros of the
Oh,
world.
mate, there's a lot of creativity in maths. We'll get to
Yeah, so that's it.
that.
I want to start right there, right? So I want to start, do you see maths as yourself creative, or do you see it as something that could be perceived as artistic?
First of all, thanks a lot for having me, by the way, on the platform. Really
Mhm.
appreciate it.
All
And
right.
yeah, in terms of maths being creative or artistic, I think it's like it's an element of both. You get what I'm saying? In terms of especially when you did maths as well,
Mhm.
at uni and at A-Level, it really opens your mind and
Mhm.
makes you think outside the box, especially with different types of questions and ways to go about things. And obviously, the main thing is that you could get a question and you could answer it in many different ways, but still get the same answer. And that
Yeah.
probably for me, like shows the creativity and the artistic element of maths. Because obviously I could do it one way, you could do it another way, we get the same thing.
Mhm.
So yeah, if anyone thinks it isn't creative, mate.
I mean, I share the same opinion because I think the way people see it, I don't know why people have sold it this way. It's kind of like, this is a random bit like kind of analogy, but like the early 2000s, a lot of films always depicted there was like the nerd and the Chad, and the nerd was never someone who did sports or went to the gym or anything like that. He was always some scrawny kid, and the Chad was always stupid. Where it's like you grow up and you realize, wait, that can be in the same person. Do you know what I mean? Like it's not
Yeah,
one or the other. And I think that's the same with maths. I think we've got to a point now where it's either you're doing a creative role or you're doing a not creative role. Like, what is the other side? I feel like there's some sort of creativity in anything that exists, especially even talking business or finance. You're doing
sure.
these things in a manner that is not maybe typical, hence creative, right? So
Exactly.
I've always found out very weird that people try to distinct the two, where it's like you have your hard sciences and then you have, I don't know, textiles or so. I agree with what you're saying there. I think the way I'd put it is like, look, a chair is a chair, right? But you can have many different types of chairs. You can have a very snazzy chair, all that stuff. But the
Okay.
tools that you will use to make a chair will stay the same. And I think that's the way I
Right.
see maths. Like,
Right.
do you know what I mean? Like, so in terms of, yeah, you're probably going to use the methods that you use to solve things will be the same, but what you apply them to will always be different. I think that's where the creative
Exactly.
aspect comes in. So yeah,
No, for
fair.
sure.
So start with you. So again, you're seen as someone who's very well adept at maths, but how was maths for you when you were growing up, right? So like, was it something that you always enjoyed, like from like primary school and so on and so
Yes.
forth? Yeah, what is your relationship with maths? How does it begin?
Yes, it's not a straightforward one to be fair. I feel like growing up, like in school, secondary school, I was always naturally good at maths. I think in GCSEs, I didn't really apply myself as much as I could have, to be fair.
Hmm?
So, yeah, I've always naturally been good at maths, but in terms of a passion, how I became passionate about it was later on, to be fair. I was obviously after GCSEs, went CTK, obviously
Hmm.
Mr. McEwen, shout out Mr. McEwen, first year.
Hmm. Yep.
And yeah, I think what sparked my love for maths and teaching it was obviously how I actually went to uni myself. So obviously, was meant to go to uni in 2014, obviously, but I actually failed maths. And yeah, that year, mate, it sparked a lot of me in the sense where I actually opened my eyes and realized that I actually wasn't serious about life in terms of what I wanted to do. I
Right.
literally applied to Kent to do accounting and finance because it was a popular degree, popular uni.
I
In terms of
understand that. Yeah.
I was in Kent,
Hmm.
accounting and finance, that was a match made in heaven. But yeah, no, literally, um yeah, that's what sparked my passion in terms of when I failed and I got an E, and then I tried to obviously go back to sixth form, but I had to move because obviously I got an E. Maths is
Mm.
a hard A level in itself, so I wasn't
Hmm.
really they didn't really have faith in me, which I
Of
understood
course,
because
yeah.
obviously up on paper I got an E, do you get what I'm saying?
Hmm.
So yeah, then I got accepted to another sixth form in Newham,
Hmm.
Newham sixth form college. And yeah, they gave me a chance and I just really just put my foot down and just said, listen, I'm gonna just try and do the best that I can. And yeah, the more that year went on and I was just studying and working hard, I realized that listen, I actually really love this subject and like I actually want to do it at uni. Like I'm interested to see the maths beyond A level. That's what
Hmm.
really sparked it for me. So yeah, I think it's just the fact that I didn't do well at first and then I was just so um hell bent on just really performing and doing well just to prove to myself and other people that didn't think I could do it that I could do it.
Hmm.
And yeah, that's pretty much how the passion began really.
And again, we're gonna pick up on what you just said there. You go for someone who got an E, had to move colleges to continue doing maths, right? How does that same person within the span of a year take themselves from an E grade to the highest grade possible, which is an A star? What was your process? What was the main kind of change you made within that year?
Yeah, I think it was just to be fair, obviously I was doing philosophy and business as well. I
Right.
felt like I had to just say, listen, yeah, we'll get there in April, March, we'll get there in April. I just said, listen,
Yeah.
maths, this is what I'm doing. But yeah, no, I, because obviously I had done it before, the year before, obviously I was a bit more familiar with it.
Of
And
course.
yeah, I was just I think the mindset of I'm working towards something in terms
Hmm.
of I want an actual good grade and I also want to go to uni and have a good degree and stuff like that.
Hmm.
That was the main thing. But as well in terms of practically, I was just revising every day. I was just keeping myself to myself, really, just
Hmm.
going to sixth form, coming back home, sleeping early, just doing past papers
Hmm.
every single day, bro.
Hmm.
But yeah, I think it was just yeah, an element of those two, just the mindset, the shift in mindsets, and obviously just practically just doing a lot more at home.
That's fair. And one thing I want to kind of start off with you, kind of like past the intro, is the perception of maths itself. So you started off saying that, oh, you've always kind of been good at maths, but maybe in terms of like discipline and like motivation, it wasn't always there. But one thing, and I've had this experience, like you said, I did maths myself at uni. I've also tutored at maths whilst I was at uni, at
Mm.
varying levels. And one thing that I've always kind of struggled to deal with, I think it's probably one of the reasons I didn't tutor as much as I could have, it's not even the kids, it's the parents. Because what the parents will always say, it's almost as if you're fighting from a point of like cynicism. Like, for example, what I mean by that is the parents will be like, well, I want my child to be good at maths, but I was never good at maths. So if you're crap at maths, Tom, then like it's all right. Like none of us were ever good at maths. Like it's almost as if it's given that you have it or you don't mentality. Whereas like, oh, some people are just good at maths, and you might not be one of those people with that maths gene or whatever. Do you kind of subscribe to that? Do you feel like it is like a you have it or you don't type of thing, or is it a skill that can be learned like over time?
You know what? Very, very good question. I think I always toss and turn with myself in terms of the actual answer every now and
Mm-hmm.
then. Because obviously, with the amount of students I've tutored, obviously they vary in different levels and stuff, and some pick up very quickly, others don't. And I think I will lean more to the side of there is a math gene, if there is one, in the
Mm-hmm.
sense where it's either you get it or you kind of don't. But
Mm-hmm.
I don't really like to subscribe to that because that kind of for me that kind of insinuates or implies that you won't be able to get to where you want to get to, if that makes sense.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah.
But based on my experience with maths and the way I think about it, and if I compare the students that I know maybe are a bit sharper than the others as well, and also people that I went to school with and I did maths with as well, I'll definitely say what I've noticed in terms of a common theme is that they pick up things very quickly. So I would say it's an element of definitely there is an element of a gene to it, but with anything, practice makes perfect, doesn't it?
Of
So
course.
yeah, I would say I say I lean more to the side there is a gene that it's either you kind of get it or you don't, just based on my experience with tutoring and everything else. But yeah, I feel like as well as that, you can definitely progress and get better just by practicing. And as well, especially in GCSE and A level maths,
Of
a lot of
course.
it
Yeah.
is very computational. You learn
Hmm.
the formula, the past papers are the same, quite
Yeah.
repetitive. Do you get what I'm saying? So yeah, I think it's definitely an element of both. But I would
Oh,
say I would lean more to the side of there's a gene. But ask me again tomorrow. We'll see what I
okay,
say
cool.
then.
No, that's fair. That's fair. And so again, whilst you were at uni, so again you graduated 2018, but then the idea of Maths with Dan comes in 2017. But we don't really see anything in terms of social media sites until 2019. I think it was like October or so. So the 5 year
Right,
anniversary will be later on this year.
right. I appreciate it. I
What
appreciate it.
was Maths with Dan before we now see it in the forefront? Yeah, I think we could start there.
Yeah, yeah. So I think when I was at uni, um I was, as you said, as you did as well, I was tutoring on the side as well, going to people's houses and stuff. And I just remember I was just thinking that I like to teach. It's fun, and I like to do this like full time. But yeah, so I think when I graduated in 2018, I applied for a couple jobs, couple roles. I got one or two, didn't get majority of them, but I got one or two. But yeah, I didn't really have an idea of what I wanted to do in terms of like a career path.
Right.
And I'd always knew tutoring. I'd always been familiar with tutoring from doing that at uni. So yeah, in 2018, I was just after I graduated, I was going to people's houses and stuff and tutoring, and I had a big chat with my sister about what I want to do. God bless that woman. She's the OG. When she watches this, she'll know it. She'll start smiling. But yeah, she was
Cool.
the one that literally just said, "Listen, you might as well just try and do your own thing. You're young, just see how it goes, you know." So yeah, I think in 2018, from I think it was 2018/19, that academic year, I was just doing it and going to people's houses and stuff. But in terms of like getting a branding and stuff, is when the summer of 2019 is when me and my sister just had a sit down and just had a brainstorm of okay, Maths with Dan. And then in terms of going on socials, as you said, October,
Mm.
that's when I decided to start actually trying to make videos and stuff like that. So yeah, I think that's how it kind of blossomed.
Mhm. And again, so this is really great, right? You're going to people's houses, you're getting the tutoring stuff. And I think I've actually never really asked anyone who I know who's been in the tutoring or teaching world about this. But of course, with maths, you're thinking, right, 2020 is going to be a sick year, right? It's going to be all of success. And then a small global phenomenon happens, and you can't. I mean, people aren't
Just a
even
small one,
just
just
a
a small
small
one.
one, and people aren't even doing exams, right? People are at home and all that stuff. So did that kind of change your strategy a bit in terms of okay, shit, like my whole business model was about teaching people maths, and now people aren't even doing exams this year. Yeah, how did that kind of change your strategy?
Yeah, so it's actually funny because I remember when I was doing it full time and going to people's houses and stuff. I think because that's all I knew, it was um it was okay.
Mm-hmm.
But I remember one of my boys, he was actually tutoring as well, and he was doing it online. And he told me, listen, you got to do it online. It's so convenient. You wake up, my dad comes, he makes me tea and breakfast, and I'm just doing it. And I said, this is a good idea, you know. It's a good idea. So I actually bought like a laptop. I've actually got it here, to be fair.
Mm-hmm.
It's not here on purpose. It's just always here. This is
Okay.
like this is the OG laptop, Microsoft
Right.
Surface,
Mm-hmm.
that I bought to like do it online because you've got a pen and stuff.
Oh yeah, of
And
course,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, exactly. So I actually had a student that a parent that contacted me because what I used to do, I used to be on Gumtree, yeah. I used to just search everywhere, bro. London, Birmingham, Reading, Nottingham.
Yeah.
I was everywhere on the Gumtree. And
Mhm.
yeah, somebody called me from Reading, and obviously because they were in a different city, I said, "Do you want to try it online?" And then yeah, I had a lesson online, and yeah, it went really well. This was about November 2019, so a couple
Right.
months before COVID happened and everything shut.
Of course.
So yeah, the time when it did shut, I think it was March, isn't it? When
Yeah, it was
everything,
much.
yeah,
Yeah.
it was March, isn't it? Yeah. So I think from there, because I had a bit of experience teaching online, um, the students that I did have, we just said we'll just try it online and see how it goes. And yeah, from there, in terms of uh the direction of how it went, I think naturally because everything was online now, and obviously education doesn't stop, everybody still wants to learn, you know. So I
Of
think it
course.
was it was kind of a blessing in that sense, in the sense
Hmm.
where all of the students that I had, I was seeing face to face. I was just doing it online, and then from there, I just realized this is just so convenient.
Right. Yeah.
And it's only at that moment, never in the moment when I'm going to people's houses and traveling, that I thought it was long. But if I think now, and in the times when I started to do it all online, I was thinking, how was I going? Waking up at 8 a.m. on a Saturday,
Yeah.
taking a train from London Bridge to Lewisham, and then getting the bus to Bromley, and then from Bromley going to another place, Camden, mate. I was all over the place.
Jesus.
Yeah, yeah,
Gosh.
yeah. So
Also, you'd go all around London in one day. That's what you do.
one day, bro,
Holy shit.
nah, mate. I used
Damn.
to go to Fulton Heath. Nah, mate, it was crazy. It was
Jesus
crazy,
Christ.
but I'm happy I did. I went
Mhm.
through that though.
Of course. Yeah. That's fair. So again, so Maths with Dan in terms of like its content is spread across, I'd say, three different platforms, right? So you have your Instagram, you have your Twitter, you have your TikTok. And this is just a random question I had just out of intrigue. Obviously, a lot of kids who are doing exams now, they're part of that Gen Z, maybe borderline Gen Alpha generation. And it's very
Mhm.
interesting because I feel like on Twitter, your content is like fairly lukewarm, but like on TikTok and Instagram, your shit is popping off, bro. Like, what do you think is the difference? Do you just think it's like you're just meeting them where they at? Like, what do you have a different strategy when you post on different platforms? There, what is your secret if you can share it with us?
Yeah, to be fair, I think it's just getting with the times. You know, the Gen Zs, they're all on TikTok now and Insta. I think mainly TikTok is where a lot of them are. So yeah, I think just another thing as well. Um, I've been uploading on TikTok just prior to April of this year, every now and then, but ever since April when I started to do it daily, and then I
Yeah.
had like a new setup of how I have my video, my face on the top, and then the recording on the bottom. Yeah, I've just been the word I've seen a lot is cooked. I've never seen that word used so many times. Literally, bro, it's just about assimilating and just going on the platforms where they're at. So
Mhm.
yeah, just meeting them where they are, really.
Okay,
So
fair. And with doing this, so I correct me if I'm wrong. You're saying you've been doing a video every day since April.
yeah, so I say I started. I think at the end of, I think I made my first TikTok in a new format. At the end of it, maybe April 20 something,
Okay.
and then from definitely the 1st of May, I said the way it was going because I made a video and it got like 2,000 likes.
Damn.
And I had like
Wow.
300 followers at the time. I was like, nah, this is crazy. And then
Hmm.
in May, like I think it was like the 30th of April, I said, nah, Daniel, you have to make a TikTok every day in May. You have to do it. I was looking
Damn.
at this other people's TikToks that do maths and
Hmm.
stuff like that as well. I said, nah, they're consistent. So I
Hmm.
said, nah, you just have to make time for it, bro. You just got to do it every day. So yeah, literally, I've been making a TikTok every day. I've actually got a photo on my phone. I've got like a reminder screenshot 11:30 a.m. where I take a screenshot of my following. And I've been doing it every day.
Yes.
So it's just
Oi.
nice to see how much it's grown since then because I'm on about 4.8K now, and I was on like
Mhm.
900 at the start of May. So
Jesus.
yeah, it's just gone crazy.
Yeah.
TikTok, mate. That anybody that has a business or anything like that, you have to go on the app, mate.
It's so crazy because I think your first post on TikTok was results day in 2022. You just doing like a little like shout out to
Yeah,
all the kids now. It's kind of crazy seeing how it's changed because I think what's interesting about your channel was that you kind of transitioned to here's like a clip from my tutoring sessions to
right.
yeah, so like
Yeah.
to like a oh okay like here's like a pay like an exam type question. Let's go through it. Um, how like do you would you still do that? Or is it now like oh you know what if you want that kind of into one-to-one sessions you can pay for that. We'll do the paper like here. Like what was the transition to okay, I'm gonna focus primarily on the papers compared to okay, here's like an extract from a tutoring session.
Yeah. I think what it was mainly it was just the format of it because
Mhm.
with the tutoring sessions, I record them online and then obviously the aspect ratio is landscape, isn't it?
Yeah.
So if I want to put that on TikTok, it's not gonna optimize the screen in terms of
Right.
vertically.
Hmm.
So it was literally that I remember I was having a chat with Ishmael, shout out Ishmael, man, that guy. Fontaine Fury, everyone, just so you know, at the
Hmm.
Fontaine Fury. Literally, he's been the plug for me. And we're having a chat, and he just said to me, listen, you know, your thing that you this thing's not vertical. It's not optimized the screen. They're looking at your thing, they're seeing black on the top and the bottom, and the videos in the middle. It's all small, they're skipping it. It's like you need to do the thing where you've got the thing on top, the video on top, and then the past paper on the bottom. So in terms of the transition and why I started doing it, I think it's just I said to myself, I need to cater to the type of content that TikTok would like. And
Hmm.
obviously it's short videos or long
Mm.
sometimes, but in terms of the actual screen itself, it's vertical. So I just wanted to optimize that. So yeah, that's pretty much it really.
That's fair. And for doing this for like again, so when it gets to 2022, you've already been doing this for 5 years, but now you're starting to get some recognition. I think you were featured in an Afro Leads kind of post or Twitter post as
Right.
well. And then you
Yeah,
actually attended, I think people don't know, so like the Pearson conference in 2022.
yeah,
So this is where the
yeah.
people who actually kind of like do the kind of regulations of, correct if I'm wrong, of like the examining body for maths. Like, was it something you invited to? Is it something that you just signed up to go to? Yeah, what was that? What was that experience like? Talk us
Yeah,
through
yeah, yeah. No, I appreciate all of the research you've done, by the way, bro.
it.
Nah, I appreciate because I didn't really tell anyone about it. But yeah, no,
Mm,
um, I think how that came about is I think on Twitter, yeah, Twitter. I don't use it as much anymore, but I follow a
mm,
lot of maths teachers, and I'm in that mathematical space in terms of
mm,
Pearson, Excel, and I follow a lot of them. So yeah, they said that they were hosting a conference, and I had a chat with my sister about it. And yeah, I DM'd them asking, can anybody attend? They were like, yeah, it's a fee. So yeah, I just literally paid it and I went, and it was a really good experience. Really, really good
mm.
experience. I actually met a fellow maths teacher there that's about our age as well. And yeah, she was a maths teacher. She's actually in Dubai now.
Okay.
So yeah, yeah, so yeah, that's literally how it came about. I was quite nervous because obviously for me, I'm not even a teacher. I'm just a tutor.
Hmm.
So I was a bit nervous going there. But yeah, everybody was nice, and yeah, I had a great time, and I'm happy I went. So yeah, that's pretty much how it went. Really, it was just
Yep.
an event that I
What
saw
what was
online.
kind of the main things they kind of discussed with you guys at the conference?
It was a more, it was in October, so it was more so about teaching styles, and there was like
Right.
different workshops. Yeah, that was it. There was different workshops. So there was loads of workshops. So there was, I think I think I attended two. I attended the two A-level workshops. There were GCSE ones as well. So there was
Hmm.
GCSE teachers and A-level teachers, and yeah, you could just basically attend different workshops throughout the day. And the ones that I attended was an A-level one,
Hmm.
um bridging the gap from GCSE to A-level. So
Yeah.
it was like a workshop basically, just getting information about how you could teach sixth formers, lower 12s, year 12s, basically getting into A-level maths, basically, just giving what different types of examples you could show them just to help the transition. And yeah, there was one about using the calculator as well. So
Okay.
those were the two I attended, but there was loads, to be fair.
And that must be proved really useful because the year after, for someone who got an E in maths, you now are teaching maths at Imperial College, one of the most prestigious universities in the world. I think you taught to a bunch of year 13 students. And this is where I believe you saw your old secondary school teacher, wasn't it?
Yeah. Yeah,
So,
yeah, 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 yeah. No, yeah, I very forgot about that. It's been a journey, to be fair. I
hmm,
forgot about it for a second. But yeah, no, that was in April 2023, wasn't it? And it
hmm,
was with the Blueprint Bridging the Gap.
yes.
And they're just like an organization where they just pretty much uh cater to and help sixth formers, black mixed race sixth formers to yeah, just give them an extra boost for their upcoming exams. So they had a couple of workshops in terms of mental health, and as well as that, obviously teacher-led workshops on different subjects. So yeah, they reached out to me and they asked me to do an A-level maths class. And yeah, that was for me. It was a good opportunity. I spoke to my sister about it. My sister. I always consult with everything. She was like, "Do it. It's good." And I remember speaking to my students about it, and they were like, "Listen, you're a good tutor. Just do it. Just do it." And now, but I was so nervous, bro,
Hmm.
because obviously I've just been teaching online,
Right.
and I've never actually physically taught a classroom before.
Hmm.
So I was like, "Oh my days, this is crazy." But yeah, no, it was good. And then imagine, as you said, had a great day. I was meant to do two classes. I was meant to do two classes that day, one in the morning, which I did,
Hmm.
and then one in the afternoon. And then the reason I was meant to do two is because somebody pulled out
Right.
or they couldn't make it. And then I did the one in the morning, and then they came to me in the afternoon saying, "Oh, don't worry about the second one. Somebody's filled in again
Oh,
for
okay.
it for the
Hmm.
class." And then yeah, then I went to the class, or I went downstairs where everybody was, and they said, "This is the tutor, this is the teacher," and I was like, "No way!" I couldn't believe it was my secondary school teacher. Shout out, Mr. Ayola.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah, and then
did it feel validating being in that position? It's like, okay, boy, I almost failed maths. Now here I am teaching maths at Imperial. Did
yeah,
you feel
yeah, yeah.
validated? Did you feel like, okay, well, like I don't have to doubt myself again? Did you feel that way?
Yeah, no, definitely, definitely. It was like I've come a long way in comparison to where I was when I failed, and then to where I'm at now. And I remember that when I saw Mr. Ola, he actually remembered my name, and then I said to him, "Oh yeah, I'm one of the maths teachers." So he was like, when I told him that, he was just smiling. And yeah, we had a good catch up. It was really good to see him. And yeah, it was like an eye opener of how far I've come. To be fair. So yeah, that
Mhm,
was a really, really good day. A lot of the time, I have these things where it's like, okay, I've got this coming up. I'm nervous for it, and then it just goes so well. It just goes to
mhm.
plan. It even goes better than expected. So yeah, a great, great day. Great, great day. Shout out the
Cool.
blueprint.
Yeah, and I think I mean they loved you so much. You did it again this year at King's College, right? So, and
Yeah,
then
yeah,
on top
yeah,
of that, you also featured in one of the only black newspapers in the country, The Voice. Again, so how did that come about? I want to kind of talk about both in tandem. So you're in The Voice and you're at Bridging's Gap again. Let's start with The Voice. You're in the newspaper now. I can pick up a newspaper on that day. I think it was around February, the end of Feb.
yeah,
Yeah, talk me through that.
yeah, yeah. So I think how it came about is one of the journalists that work for The Voice, her name is Sinai Flery. She contacted me and said that she's because to be fair, one thing that we didn't speak about is Facebook as well, bro. I'm
Okay,
on
yeah,
Facebook quite a bit. I literally that's a whole nother avenue of
right,
like
okay.
clientele. Because I
Mhm.
use that Facebook, mate, that's the best, honestly.
Okay.
TikTok is for the Gen Zs and stuff, getting the content out there, but the parents are is where
Okay,
Facebook is at.
makes
You know what I'm
sense.
saying?
Mm.
So yeah, no, she contacted me and she said that yeah, she's been following me on Facebook for a while, and yeah, she's seen my content and she just asked me if I'd be willing to have like a conversation with her just in regards to uh tutoring post COVID and how it's been online and if
Mhm.
there's been any an increase in black parents uh seeking tuition. And yeah, we just
Right.
had a phone conversation. I think it was about maybe 10-15 minutes.
Hmm.
And yeah, we had that conversation and she just did an article on it. And yeah, it was in the newspaper. So yeah, that's
Yeah.
pretty much how it went about, to be fair. And yeah,
Crazy.
shout out the voice.
Yeah. So, kind of taking it outside of the Macedon context for a bit now, I want to kind of get more into discussion about like the maths curriculum itself. So, when I was doing maths, I remember there was a forum. I don't know if it still exists now, right? It was called the Student Room, and obviously everyone kind of went there to kind of talk about
Mm,
how the paper went and
yeah,
how, like degrees and stuff like that. And I
yeah.
remember when I was kind of applying, so I didn't apply to uni for maths. I applied to uni to do pharmacy at the time. So I switched to maths
Right,
whilst I was at uni. Um,
right.
but one thing I did say, I was always intrigued. So again, so the teacher you just mentioned, I remember he always used to tell me, "Oh yeah, you have a bit of knowledge envy." Because I always used to ask about the further maths stuff because I didn't do further maths when I was in college. And I was like, "What do you mean by that?" He's like, "Oh, you always just want to know what the other people know. Like you, like Jimmy, like there's something to know. You want to know it." And I was like, "Oh, you know what? Fair enough.
That's
You got me there. Like he's right. Like, because I did that. I kind of look back. I was like, shit, I should have just kept that further maths. So I wanted to be cool. I want to have a diverse range of A levels. So I
mm,
say that to say, so now going on the forum now, there'll be discussions about the papers. And there was one forum that kept coming up every year. And it was a petition. I think it actually was a petition. And it was like, make A-level maths harder. And I was like, what the fuck are these guys on about? But then I went and did maths. I went and did maths. And I was like, they might be right. They might be right, Daniel. They might be right. Might be. And I'm asking you about it. Because obviously you're quite into it within kind of the curriculum right now. For someone who, and I'm going to ask this in two ways, right? So for someone
mm.
who wants to do A-level maths and someone who wants to do undergraduate maths, right? So in both instances, so if I'm a GCSE student and I'm saying, Daniel, I want to do A-level maths, do you feel like the curriculum for GCSE sets you up well for A-level? And then the same question for A-level to undergrad mathematics, in your opinion?
To be, you know what, I would say yes, I would
Mhm.
say in the sense where I think because obviously I teach GCSE and A level quite a lot. I think the specification changed for both. I think it was 2017
Right.
it
Okay.
changed.
Hmm.
Yeah, and I think for GCSE, the questions towards the end for the higher paper, obviously, they're very comprehensive. Not saying that they weren't when we were doing it, they were for
Hmm.
sure. But yeah, in terms of even some questions now, bro, I'll be real.
Hmm.
There's even a question I haven't even seen it properly yet, but the paper three that they did on Monday, there was a crazy question about a shaded area and different a pentagon or something like that, and you had
Hmm.
to prove an inequality. And it seemed very A level mathsy just
Hmm.
by looking at it. And another example I can think of is June 2022 of the EdXL paper one. the question at the end was like
Hmm.
three circles, and you had to find out the shaded area, and you needed to use areas of sectors. And again, I say to my students, this is something that could be in an A-level maths paper for sure,
Okay.
like a year 12 one. So in terms of anyone doing anyone in year 11 that wants to do A-level maths, I would say the content that's out there, the type of question that they ask you, the way it stretches your mind, it definitely sets you up well for sure.
Okay.
Especially because now they do the grading system of 1 to 9.
Yeah.
So
Hmm.
I think a 9 is like an A star star, they say.
Yeah.
So
Hmm.
yeah, if you're getting a grade 9, then yeah, I think it will definitely set you up well for A level maths. And yeah, in regards to A levels now, I would say when we did it, like for example, C3 and C4, they were hard for sure, but I think uh, right now, especially where the spec is going, it's a lot more modelly, the questions, in terms of there's a lot more modeling in it
Right.
and a lot more context, which can be a bit tricky. And yeah, I would say for sure that the A level content now, I think maybe because I've done it then, obviously I've seen
Yeah.
C3,
Hmm.
C4.
Hmm.
I think the papers are harder now, but
Okay.
but at the same time, I do think it's all relative though, because I
Yeah.
think maybe
Right.
10, 15 years from now, they'll probably say the same thing about the papers now, which I'm
Yeah.
saying are hard. So
Yeah.
I do think it's a bit relative, but in terms of the actual questions now, in terms of in A level maths, I think it definitely does set you up well for uni as well. So if you want to do maths at uni, I think yeah, doing A level maths is obviously a given, obviously, but I don't think you have to do further maths if that makes
Right.
sense.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah, in terms of like the content that's out there for A level, I think that sets you up enough. Obviously, if you do further maths, then yeah, I always say doing further maths is doing maths at uni anyway.
You know what? A little
Literally,
bit. Yeah. To be fair, I agree with you on
you know
that
what
one.
I'm
Yeah. So
saying?
again, so what would be your advice to kind of people who want to, again, maybe they don't feel like they're maths people, but they've always been intrigued by the subject. I get this stuff all the time. It's like, oh yeah, I wish they would say, I wish, like, I did this, I wish I did that. So for those people who are maybe in that position where they can still decide, what advice would you give them in terms of making the decision?
Yeah, I would just say if it's something that you're really interested in, yeah, just do a bit more research in terms of if you want to go into yeah, if you're going into year 12 and you want to pick A levels, then yeah, just have a look at the content, have a chat with your teachers, and yeah, just ask them what type of topics come up. Is it quite heavy? But if you are making that decision, then yeah, just go with your gut really. And yeah, but just do your due diligence, do your research, ask teachers, and yeah, the same for A level in terms of if you want to do, or especially if you want to do maths at uni, then yeah, just think about what topics you can do. I remember when I was doing maths at uni, my A level maths teacher, before obviously I got to uni, she said I should read up on a lot of further math stuff. So, for example, matrices that aren't in A level, normal A
Mm-hmm.
level,
Yeah.
linear algebra, obviously, and yeah, just do your due diligence really in between the summers.
Okay. So the one of the last few questions I have for you, again, it's kind of a more meta discussion, but I'll see where we go with this one. So one thing that bugs me a lot, maybe because I'm a bit jaded by the whole thing, is just how maths is used in a very casual sense in life. So I think an example is like the way sports use like all the NBA stats. They'll always try and find a unique stat for a player they like. They're like, oh, like I don't know, Luka Doncic is the first player to do 3 rebounds, 5 dunks, and this in the game. It's like that's such a specific scenario you're talking about right now.
Right.
And especially again, talking about global event that happened a few years ago. I remember I thought, okay, this is like in a morbid way, but like this is a lot of statistical data to deal with. And I was like, wait, no, why is no one questioning how like this data is being recorded? For example, like what is the definition of like a COVID death, so to speak? So my
Right.
general question is, in terms of how you see maths being interacted with in the everyday world, again, because you're someone who's kind of seen it to undergrad level, is it something that is like, do you think like we can do a better job in terms of like, I guess the way maths is utilized or understood? Like, for example, not seeing proportions as likelihoods, for example, just like a basic stuff like that. Like, or is it something that you haven't really given much thought to? Just wanted to kind of throw that out there.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No worries. I think especially what you spoke about in terms of COVID and the amount of statistics that came out in terms of how many people were passing through COVID and stuff via COVID and stuff,
Mm-hmm.
and whether or not they were actually COVID related and stuff like that. I
Mm-hmm.
think because there was so much discussion on that, I think definitely we could do a lot more in terms of just verifying that uh what data we're putting out there is actually like valid, if that makes sense.
Mm.
And yeah, to be fair, if I'm honest, I haven't given it the most thought,
Of course,
but
yeah, it's
I
fine.
remember, but I definitely remember seeing a lot of like a lot of discussion online in terms of those types of stats. And another thing as well, I'd say, I think as you said with sports, in
Yeah.
terms of the different stats that are coming out, and it's like a very specific scenario. I do see a lot. I definitely have thought about in terms of, especially with football as well, there's a lot of chances created, expected goals,
Mm.
and stuff like that. I think it's I kind of like it in the sense it's
Okay.
there's more to it now in
Hmm.
terms of it was just okay, it's a goal and an assist, but now there's chances created or there's expected goals and there's this, there's that. So I
Yeah.
think there's a bit of both in terms of we could do more in a sense where when it's something political, when it comes to COVID and stuff like that, something that causes controversy, we need to do a lot more. But in terms of stuff as things like sport, where you see a lot more stats being thrown out and yeah, I think it just it makes things a bit better in that sense. But yeah, I think it's about 50-50, depending on where you're at or what you're discussing. I think that's what it is.
That's fair. That's fair. And as you mentioned, in terms of like work, this I'm guessing you do Master Dan full time. You're not a teacher
Yeah.
in any sort of like professional sense. If
No.
Master Dan didn't exist, what would Daniel be doing right now? Like, would you be working within a field of mathematics? Like, where do you see yourself? Where would you have seen yourself, rather?
That's a good question. I think look based on how I am now, I think if Master Dan didn't exist, I'd probably just go into teaching because obviously
Okay, yeah.
I just like teaching. But in terms of anything else, I remember when I did graduate, I did look at different roles and I think I can't remember the actual role, but it was like a software analytical role that I
Hmm.
applied for. And yeah, that was something I was interested in. I remember a couple of years ago when we met at Wireless.
Oh yes.
Um, yeah, I was
Hmm.
dabbling into data science, and that's something
Hmm.
I actually did find really, really interesting. And obviously, you gave me a lot of tips on that, so I appreciate that. Thank you. And yeah, at that time, I think it was summer 2022 when we went
Yeah.
when I saw you at Wireless, and that year, I actually did a course in data science, which was really, really good. To
Hmm.
this day, I always tell everyone I really had like it was a course through the government, and
Hmm.
yeah, you just applied. It was free, and it was like 12 weeks of
Hmm.
just learning the beginnings of data science in terms of learning how to code in
Hmm.
Python. And yeah, it was really, really good. So I would say if I wasn't doing Master of Dan, I would say maybe teaching, most likely teaching, but definitely data science as well, because I did find that really, really interesting. It just happened at the time where when I was doing the data science, just the Master of Dan just started taking off from there.
Of
So I couldn't
course,
really
yeah.
actually to make a
Yeah.
decision.
Yeah.
So yeah. But yeah, I
No.
say definitely one of those two, teaching or data science for sure.
Yeah. And looking forward, what's next for Maths with Dan? Is it will you kind of expand the network in terms of more tutors? Will you get into different subjects, or will you kind of give us a different flavor of videos? So I think, for example, you might know this guy because of maths. There's a guy called Three Blue One Brown on YouTube. So he kind of takes
Right.
these principles where it was to be something based on, let's say, like how I guess like the radius or pi was formed or how E is formed. And he kind of breaks it and puts in the very simple, like layman wordy kind of concepts. Would
Right.
you see yourself doing something on that vein in the future or just different types of content?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think especially with how TikTok has grown and my YouTube channels grows, I'm definitely thinking of, especially with the exams finishing next week, to just have a brainstorm of what different content that I'd want to do. But yeah, in terms of moving forward, I think rolling out more content on YouTube. Um and as well as that, I think we were discussing it before, but doing having like a platform
Right.
because obviously what I do right now is majority of my teaching is done in groups. So I used to just do one-to-ones just
Mm-hmm.
full time. And then
Yeah.
obviously I started teaching in groups again. My sister, shout out my sister, I always shout out every time. She said,
Mm-hmm.
listen, try a group class, just see how it goes. And yeah, I did that. I remember I did a group class in I think March 2022, like the first time 2 years
Mm-hmm.
ago. And then yeah, I was like, you know what, this is really good. It makes a lot of sense. I can get more students in one lesson, more
Mm-hmm.
convenient. I can make more in an hour. And yeah, from there and up until now, I've grown it to have about 80 students that I see every week.
80.
So yeah, yeah,
Holy
yeah.
shit. Hey.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Fair enough.
literally. When it's April, 80 is like throughout the year. When it's April, when it's Easter, it goes to like 100. Because it's like, yeah.
And is it just you tutoring right now?
Yeah. So before, actually, a couple of years ago, I actually had like maybe two or three tutors under me, to be
Mm-hmm.
fair. But I think the way I saw the business growing, it's massive, Dan. It's my business, my brand. So I just
Mm-hmm.
felt, you know what? I think it's fine for me to just do the tutoring. And yeah, so in terms of the groups, because that was something that I just really opened my eyes.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I've been able to just get so many students, and I also record the lessons as well, and they're
Mm-hmm.
able to access them. And I just think, oh, hold on, wait. I've been able to grow it so much, and I don't have a platform. I just do it on Zoom, and then I send them the
Yeah.
OneDrive link. If I had somewhere where it's all centralized, all in one place, I'd be able to maybe get more students, and it will
Yeah.
be much more efficient, especially with payments as well, bro. Because I'll be
Wow.
telling you, I'll be messaging them on WhatsApp. Payment is due.
Yeah.
80 of them, bro. And then on my
Yeah.
Excel spreadsheet, I'm just ticking
Mm-hmm.
them off one by one. I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, they must this cart, it's not sustainable.
Of
So yeah,
course, yeah.
definitely. I think moving forward, in terms of tutoring itself, developing a platform online where students can log in and watch the videos and
Mm-hmm.
actually attend the lessons as well. And if they can't attend, they can watch it at a later time, and they just all have it in one place. And obviously, they can make the payments just like a recurring subscription type of thing. And then yeah, as well as that, also doing more content on YouTube as well. So I think that's where I'm pretty much going with it.
Well, at the end of this interview, do you have any final words? Do you have anyone you'd like to shout out or say hello to?
In this interview. I just say shout out my family, to be fair.
Mm-hmm.
They've helped me a lot, especially as I get again my sister, my brothers, my mum, my dad. And yeah, I just have to say shout out to Ishmael. Ishmael. Without Ishmael, the whole TikTok this year, the YouTube, he gave me the blueprint. So Ishmael, shout you out. Reese as well. He's the one that obviously helped me with the material. You know the material I was talking to you about,
Yeah.
telling you about.
Mm-hmm.
So shout out Reese. And yeah, that's pretty much it, to be fair. Shout them out.
Cool.